What's going on, everyone? What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, my name is Akeemkhaynes. I'm a two-time Olympic bronze medalist, author, motivational speaker, and sports commentator. On my channel, we talk boxing, MMA, track and field, and of course, motivation and encouraging content. If this is something that you enjoy, then I hope that you subscribe to the channel. Now, let's get into the video. Jesus Ramos versus Joey Spencer, the co-main event of the Plant Benavidez card. This is going to be a very good bout. The battle of two undefeated young fighters. Somebody's O has to go. Let's get into it. Let's start with Jesus Ramos. He's coming at this one with a record of 19 wins, no losses, 15 wins by way of knockout. This is his first fight of the year. Both of these guys' first fight of the year. I've been watching Ramos for a while now. This is a guy who was extremely focused, right? And started making decisions early in life to have a successful boxing career, spent time with Terrence Crawford in his camp, learning and developing his skills, and comes from a very good boxing background family. And that's what I've seen from him over the years, right? He's been growing, learning, and developing each fight. He's a young man that likes to bring the pressure. In 19 fights, he stopped 15 of his opponents by way of knockout. That's not a slight number. He's strong, he's a patient fighter, and just goes to work, right? He attacks the body. He isn't afraid to risk taking a shot if he can let off a shot of his own. He likes to engage, and I think that's when he's at his best, right? When he is confident and the fight is right there in front of him. I had him on my podcast about a year ago, and he's a very soft-spoken guy, very calm on the outside, but when he gets into the ring, he's a different cat. Like, he goes into attack mode, and he has the skills and toughness and will to back it up. I think he's been in some good fights over the years with good quality opposition. When he fought Javier Molina, who was in the ring with the former champion Jose Pedraza, and Ramos went in there and started stalking him and pressuring him early in the early rounds. And even though he wasn't throwing a lot of shots early, you could see he was setting up shots that he wanted to land maybe the next round and later in the fight, using his footwork to cut off the ring and using feints to line up his shots. He landed a lot of good quality shots and body shots in that fight and didn't really seem to have too much of a problem with Molina. And he won that fight by unanimous decision. It was a similar fight when he fought Brian Mendoza, someone who thought that was going to be a tougher test for Ramos, but I didn't really think that it was. I thought it was both kind of on the similar playing ground. But he did get caught with some big shots in that fight because sometimes he's a little overconfident when he's feeling good and his defense can slightly lack a little bit. But I thought he did a good job and got a good win against Mendoza. Now, in his recent fight when he fought Luke Santamaria had the better start. Ramos isn't a fast starter and often comes in trying to see what his opponent is going to do. And I thought Santamaria took advantage of that. Throughout the fight, Santamaria was having success fighting off of the back foot, finding his timing and using his quickness and mobility to his advantage. But Ramos made the adjustments needed, started cutting off the ring, and just let his hands go a little bit more. But he knew it wasn't going to be a fight that he could just walk in and walk through Luke Santamaria, right? Santamaria did not get sucked into fighting that close range war battle fight. He stayed patient and stayed true to his game plan. And even a little bit more into that fight, as I mentioned, I had Ramos on my podcast show. If you want to check out the podcast, it's called Unscripted with Akeemkhaynes. But when I had him on, I asked him about that fight, man. I said, it looks like you were trying to force the fight. And he said, you know, he went into that fight very emotional because Santamaria beat his uncle, Abel Ramos, and he went in there wanting to get revenge, right? He wanted to really punish him to get revenge. And he felt like it wasn't the best fight from him because he went in too emotional. But he said it was a good learning lesson, and he learned he can't go into fights emotional. He has to stick to his game plan and take the emotion out of it and trust his training and his preparation, right? So it was a good learning for lesson. I mean, for that fight, I wanted to see more combination and punches that were thrown in bunches and flurries and not just one single shot and back off and wait for your opponent to make a move. I thought he could have taken more risk. I thought he could have been a lot more aggressive and tactical with it. But credit to Santamaria as well, because he wasn't in there a sitting target. He wasn't a sitting duck. He kept his space miss and made himself tough to hit. Nonetheless, I'm looking forward to seeing Ramos back in the ring this weekend, and he's up against a tough, hungry young cat as well, and he's going to have to bring it. But let's talk about his opponent, Joey Spencer. 16 wins, no losses, 10 wins by way of knockout. This young man has a lot of upside. Good power in his punches, got a good chin, quick hand speed, he's patient, good accuracy in his punches, good shot selection, and he knows how to close out the show when his opponents are hurt. He's a confident young man. Really sits down on his punches and has the quickness to slip in and slip out of shots. He's patient, but he doesn't always like to engage. I remember when he fought Lambert Ponce, I believe it was, someone who had more experience in the ring than him, who was supposed to be a good, tough test for him, and Spencer made that fight look easy. Ponce wasn't supposed to be a guy that he could just walk through, but that's what that fight kind of was. I mean, you could tell Spencer was very confident in that fight, and he slowed down the pace of that fight. And to some, it wasn't an exciting fight, but it was a fight that you knew who was in control, right? But at the same time, Spencer did get caught with a few counter shots, but they weren't enough to discourage Spencer from him coming in. He threw a lot of headshots in that fight, a lot of knockout blows to try and close out the show in one shot. And in that fifth round, stumbled Ponce with the counter left hook and dropped him with the right hand. So the power is legit. The man can crack, right? And that's always something to keep in mind, always a good thing to have when you have power behind your shot. Now, in his most recent fight, when he fought Kevin Salgado, I like the combination that he was putting forth that fight. He used the jabs to set things up. A lot of those jabs were right to the body, right? You know, usually you're seeing jabs to the head, but Spencer was putting that jab down low to the body, right? And it was working. Anytime Salgado tried to close the gap, Spencer backed him up and kept him at bay, right? He knows he's got the power in his shots, but I thought his defense in that fight was very good, very solid. The man is explosive. But I also think, on the other hand, while his defense was very good, I thought he played it a little bit safe in that fight. And sometimes he does do that, right? Can he let his hands go a little bit more? Yes, absolutely. But he's tactical in his approach. He throws the right shots at the right times, and it's been working for him. Also in that fight, it looked like he was reaching a good amount as well, too. And if he was fighting against someone who was a better counter puncher, that could be a problem for him. And he might find himself getting caught with a shot or being exposed just a little bit, right? But Salgado had a few moments, but he was fighting Spencer's fight. Spencer slowed down the pace and had him guessing what was going to happen a lot in that fight. So who wins? This is going to be interesting because Ramos is going to bring a lot of pressure, right? He may not throw a lot of punches when he is bringing the pressure, but that still makes your opponent think and move and second guess themselves because you never know what's going to come. I think he's going to try to force Spencer to engage a lot more, right? And as I said, Ramos will take the risk and get hit if he can let up a shot of his own. So he's not afraid to take those risks, and Spencer can make his opponents pay, right? Like, he's quick enough to capitalize on Ramos's mistake, and he's got the power to back it up as well too. But however, I don't think Spencer's strength is to engage. I think his strength is keeping it in that mid-distance range where he can use his athleticism to slip in and hit and slip out and avoid. The other thing that comes in my mind as I think about it, I think Spencer's only been in 2 10-round fights. I could be wrong on that. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments. Versus Ramos, who's been doing 10-round fights since, 2020? Right? So I wonder how that will play with the pressure of Ramos as the round goes on. This is still kind of new to Joey Spencer. Obviously, you're sparring a whole bunch of rounds past 10, 12 rounds, but in a fight, it's a little bit different, especially when someone's trying to take your head off every single round. But I'm taking Jesus Ramos to win this one by decision. I just think he's going to be the busier fighter. I think he's going to make Spencer engage a little bit more than what Joey Spencer is used to. While I do think Spencer is slightly the bigger puncher, I think Ramos' shot selection and placement in his shots are a little bit better. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out. It's going to be an exciting fight. What are your thoughts on this fight? Who do you have winning this one? Let me know in the comment section below. If you would like to support the channel, a couple ways you can do so. You can like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you would like to support by way of donation, you can find options in the description below. Also, my Cash App handle will be on screen as well. Any amount goes towards the growth of this channel and will be greatly, greatly appreciated. So with all that being said, if you've been watching the video this long, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel, and we'll definitely see you next time.